I'm Richard Porter.
I'm Johnny Smith.
And this is Smith and Sniff, a podcast in which two friends talk about cars at RADwood.
In a meeting room.
Guys, look, let's set the scene.
I've got a proposal.
We are in a boardroom.
It is a boardroom.
At the Haggerty Treehouse here at Bicester Heritage. This is new. They've only just opened this, I think, haven't they?
It's swish. There's, I'm going to say, machine-polished concrete flooring outside.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
It is that kind of lovely brutalist chic.
And they've got what we might call a chill-out space with some lovely Chesterfields out on the main floor.
Pool table, driving simulator.
Yeah. A bar. I noticed it because obviously we're here, it's the daytime. And
Yeah.
I've been doing the Hot Wheels judging, so I've needed a clear head. So they've offered us coffee and things like that. But there's a full bar. They've got Jägermeister.
What?
Who's coming to Bicester Heritage and caning the Jaegers?
Could we, if we had a lock-in, could we do WKD Blues and just listen to, like, Felix, Don't You Want Me? Or something like that.
Yeah. What's
Just
that
pretend
song?
it's... Oh, yeah. Do you know what I heard the other day? I heard some Scooter the other day.
Oh, my God.
I mean, honestly, it's...
Who's playing Scooter?
It was on a radio show. You know when you do your sort of DAB roulette wheel, where you just kind of flip through the dab?
Were you in an unfamiliar car?
I was in an
And
unfamiliar...
you hit the sort of side-to-side arrow on the steering wheel, not quite knowing what it does.
That's exactly what I did.
Sometimes it might unlock the doors, you never know, but often it just cycles radio stations into the depths
Absolutely.
of the DAB sewer.
I did a dab scroll.
Yeah.
And this sort of... it wasn't Kiss Street, but it was something like that, so sort of nostalgic dance FM.
You're listening to Cov Tweets, playing birdsong to the Coventry area 24 hours a day. And why does this exist?
I don't...
But they're all down there.
They're amazing. Yeah.
So someone was playing Scooter.
Scooter, and I had Felix, but basically all of the tracks that were quite charty in the dance realm.
Yes.
When I passed my driving test.
So that would have been 1990.
I passed in 96.
Okay.
And Scooter was probably maybe a year after that or so.
Yeah, because then had we already had Blue by then and Scatman? I think
Yeah, Eiffel 65.
Eiffel 65.
Scatman was very much... Scatman might have been, when I was at college, so yeah. I'm the Scatman.
Yeah.
I don't say that lightly.
No one should.
Scatman John.
Was he called Scatman John?
He was called John, yeah.
Did he die?
Yes.
But no, did he die sort of after that record came out quite soon?
He died mid-scat.
During the recording of it. Speed up. So it ends up like that. You know, the end of... It's Holding Out for a Hero, isn't it? Where the backing track just carries on. And it seems like they can't turn any of the sequences off because it just keeps going. Bonnie Tyler's already around the corner in the pub with the guitarist. And they just go, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Just keeps doing it.
Do you know, I've said this, I might have said this on a video, a Smith and Sniff video, but I used to have a very old organ. I mean, like a musical instrument.
I was so hoping the next word you were going to say was man.
No, it was
I'm a very old man in my house.
No, I used to have a really old. What's the name of those? It was a Hammond organ.
Oh yeah,
I used to have a Hammond organ that I bought out of the paper cheap.
What?
Yeah, because I just went through a phase of buying cheap old instruments.
How much did you pay for a Hammond
40
organ?
quid.
Bloody hell!
Yeah, it was buy a collect, obviously.
They're quite heavy.
It was exceptionally large and heavy, but I got it in the back of a Mercedes estate on its back.
Oh, okay.
And got it into the house, and this is when this was 20 years ago, I remember it, 2003. My rented house was a party house.
Right.
And for some reason, I just thought to add to the party atmosphere, a bit like what Haggerty have done here with the chill-out area.
Hang on, party house. Let's stick on some Felix, and then I'll play Hammond organ over the top of it.
But it had those old-fashioned beats that you could whack the tempo up on, and it was really bassy. Really bassy.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. But you could whack the tempo up. So and I remember after a big party, we'd come back to my house after going to the pub, quite a lot of people, and then music on, drinking, people were out. There was always someone that chundered in the garden.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember a certain amount of the night, and then I woke up the next morning. Everyone had gone. The back door was wide open. It was luckily a summer hot day, and as I went downstairs, I was like, I can hear something. What's that sound? And someone had left the Hammond organ all night, and it was really low, but it was the highest tempo possible. So it's.
Did you think there was a monster in your house?
I was like, what? Because I was obviously very hungover. I was holding my head going, what on earth? Yeah, it was like a trapped bird in a cupboard or something. It's like, what is that? So yeah, it was a Hammond. It was.
What did you do with the Hammond organ?
I ended up giving it away because I had to move out, and I put it up for sale, and I got 2 time wasters, and I actually wrote to Top Gear and asked if I could give Richard the Hammond.
God.
Yeah, I did. Surprisingly, I didn't get any response at all.
Oh, okay. That's funny, that.
Yes.
Probably because he's got loads of them already.
He's probably got a whole room.
One in every room.
Yeah. Well, he lives in a castle.
Yeah. Well, so he's had to have a lot. Well, yeah, they do different sized ones, don't they, for different rooms. So just
what
a
castle?
little one. Yes. Yes. I think technically he lives in a sort of faux castle.
A folksall.
Folksall. Which is Folksall Astra. Anyway, we're here. A beautiful, balmy,
sweet Radford.
Sweet, surprisingly warm. Late summer's Saturday afternoon here for Radwood.
If you're an North American listener, you'll be familiar with Radwood because it started over there, didn't it? And it's a celebration of all things 90s.
Maybe late 80s and 90s. I was trying to explain it to someone the other day. And I was
a bit of 80s.
I cannot be specific, but you know it when you see it, the things that hit the sort of sweet spot. So probably, yes, 90s.
Back end of the 80s and pre-internet 90s.
Well, they bleed into each other a bit, don't they, I suppose? That's the thing. It's not like there was a neat kind of... Everything went pastel-coloured in 1990 at New Year's Eve.
Exactly.
There was a sort of blurring, so...
I would have liked that, though. Like,
what,
when 1979
oh
became 80, it was like, no more flares.
Yeah,
no more
that's
flares.
it. Nothing's brown anymore.
No.
It's all bright primary colours.
It's all drain
against
pipes.
white backgrounds, yeah, it would have been a bit easier to keep a track of things. But that really didn't come in. We've said this before. I think the actual 80s, as in everything people remember about the 80s as a cliche, is your sort of, in this country,
83?
Second Margaret Thatcher administration, 83 to 87.
Yeah.
It's peak 80s.
Yeah.
City boys, Guards red Porsches, and
shoulder pads, and sort of shiny inflammable suits.
George Michael's incredible Princess Diana hair. Princess Diana's incrediable George Michael hair.
Interchangeable
with
the 80s.
Highlights or lowlights, maybe, I'm not sure. And
an amazing the Testarossa strakes up the
strakes. Everything was slatted.
Yes.
Lots of Louvre lap blinds.
Yeah, I love those.
We used to have them. They were all over my parents' house in the 80s.
Yeah.
And now you just don't get them. To the extent that I googled Louvre lap blinds and nothing comes up. And I started questioning whether I'd imagined that's what they're called. But you know what I mean, right? They are called Louvre lap, aren't they?
Yeah.
They make a distinctive noise when the window is open and it's breezy.
Yeah.
Kind of clacking together because they're weighted at the bottom. But you don't see Louvre laps anymore.
Yeah, bloody hell, they definitely existed. They definitely existed, and it's sort of become fancy dress.
Yes.
So, and I am wearing a certain amount of 90s myself.
Well, you've done well. So you've got your.
I brought my honourable, although slightly warm for this weather.
Yeah.
Is it a Team Husqvarna motocross racing jacket?
And it's an exquisite piece.
Yes, with diagonal stripes.
But you've teamed it, as the Daily Mail always say about people's fashion. You've teamed it with a Smith and Sniff T-shirt, which is very on brand.
Sort of a late 80s, early 90s.
Well, it's got that's kind of. I'd say we were sort of aiming for 80s with that, weren't we? A bit. It's kind of Ford.
It is kind of
Sierra badging.
Yeah.
Combined with but that is quite 90s, isn't it?
It is. It's a 90s ski jacket there.
Yes, we did all right with that.
I've seen in excess of 3 people wearing the same T-shirt today.
That T-shirt?
That T-shirt, yes. And I went over and I patted them all on the back, not in a condescending way.
I haven't really had a chance to bump into anybody out in the real world because I've been judging this Hot Wheels Legends thing. And it's been quite all-encompassing because we got here early before the thing opened. And we were going around all the cars, but talking to the owners because part of the judging thing is, the backstory and the people involved, and they've all got great stories involved and attached to them. People's blood and sweat that's gone into it is amazing, but it's quite you get chatting and then suddenly you go, oh shit.
It makes the judging harder because then you become emotionally invested.
It's personal.
Because these things are not just bought off the shelf.
Absolutely, yeah.
I've just bought a new McLaren, I've turned up at a show, I've had it PPF'd.
Yeah.
Kind of who cares?
Whereas the guy it was quite nice as well, that when we sat down, in this room in fact, as the judges, and compared scores, we had all, without realising it, I didn't realise the car that I picked as my number one was going to be my number one until I added up all my scores. It was weird.
Yeah.
And when it was, I kind of went, yeah. And it happened to other people. And it's the car that we all agreed was the winner, which is the MGB.
Brilliant.
Because the stuff that bloke had done to it was incredible, but all incredibly personal to him.
Yeah.
You meet him and he's a really affable northern lad. And you could see he's always under the car and he's still got oil under his fingernails. And then I was looking at it and there's lots of flower decals on the inside of the doors, which are, as he told us, temporary tattoos that he just used to decorate his doors, lacquered over them so they stay put.
Like the water slide things.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
I remember you soak them in water, don't you? And then you slide them off.
Kind of slide them on your yeah. But there were flowers in the engine bay. He'd had to blank over a couple of things. He'd got metal plates, which he'd then put flower decals on as well. And I was like, well, so what's the story behind these? And he went, I just really like flowers. And you wouldn't have expected just this kind of northern bloke with oil in his fingernails. I just really like flowers. And then you look around, he's got flowers everywhere. The rear lights, imagine the rear lights in MGB GT.
Yeah.
He's dremeled flowers into them, little flower design.
That's amazing.
And he's not happy with it. He says it's not quite right. And you look at it and you go, mate, I couldn't even begin to do this. With a Dremel, just the steadiness to get it. And they're really nicely drawn as well.
I was going to say you could screw that up really easily.
Oh, God, yeah.
But luckily it's an MGB. So
well,
a quick trip to an auto jumble, maybe
yes.
poo in a bag for life beforehand, and then you could go around and get some cheap rear clusters. Do you know who I've seen here? As I was looking at various impressive fancy dress pieces,
yeah,
a guy walked by with a very majestic mullet. And I mean very short on the top and extremely long at the back.
Real?
I went, that's got to be a wig. It's got to be.
Yeah.
And I walked up behind him. He didn't know about this.
Yanked on it.
No. I walked up behind him and I looked really carefully and I was like, that's not a syrup. That is an actual real hair style.
Is this like when I found myself on some stairs behind Terry Wogan? I got to have a good look at whether he was wearing a syrup.
Is that what you...
Yeah.
Was he?
And the answer's no.
It was real deal?
Well, I could see his scalp through it.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, he's actually had a thinning bit at, the old satellite dish at the back. But it wasn't, he just sort of combed over a little bit and it was all kind of, blended. But I was just like, that's definitely not a wig because the wig doesn't look like
it. It's OG.
Follicular
OG.
The advantage of being sort of a couple of steps behind him looking downwards, you got a good vantage.
I love that. That's
on Wogan's ball.
That's your Terry Wogan story.
Yeah,
He's looking at his helipad. So this guy actually had a real mullet and it was awful. But
do you think he just this morning just said to his wife, partner, whatever, just go cut it now, go. I'm doing
the
it.
top, just
because I briefly thought about shaving a moustache.
Oh,
I just thought, what would happen if I did that? And then I just bottled out.
Let me show you. Well, there was another guy that I spotted as well. I spotted him 3 times, and in fact, because I've been here with my dad. Bob's been here because
we tried to ask Bob if he wanted to come and join us. Now we don't do guests, on this podcast, but we have a list of people we'll make an exception for, and it's I think who's on it so far? Lewis Hamilton, I think, for some reason.
Yes.
I forget who else we've put on our exemptions list, but obviously your dad Bob is very much on our exemptions list.
Bob's exempt,
but.
Yeah. He got scared and just said, I don't think I could be as impromptu or funny as you two.
Well, I think because he'd already been for a road wee and he was ready to go.
He'd saddled up the Golf Cabrio.
Yeah, he was mentally already on the road out of here. It's like, oh God, those two twats want me to come onto their podcast.
I was embarrassed because I didn't come to RADwood in a 90s car, despite the fact that I was all set to, but then I knew I was going to rendezvous with Bob.
Hang on, what 90s car?
The Insight.
Oh yeah, of course.
And it's it would have fitted in well.
Yeah.
But sadly, it doesn't have a big enough storage area to collect my children's birthday present, which is a large drift trike. They're not listening to this podcast, so I haven't given away the surprise. But it's an electric drift trike, which I bought second-hand, and they delivered it to my parents' house because they lived local.
Oh.
It's that annoying thing of like, it's too big to post.
Yeah.
They agreed to deliver it to them, but I couldn't collect it when I went down and saw them because my kids were with me.
Yeah.
It's too big to like throw under a tarp and pretend it's not there.
A drift trike and a Hammond organ.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to lash those two things together. That'd be amazing. But
funny enough, the guy who... So we're sitting in... What are you showing me here? Oh, my God.
I'm showing you.
What's going on
I've
here?
seen
Is
two... This is a RADwood 90s business suit.
Yes. Look how broad the shoulders are.
But look how... You probably can't see from that angle. Look how long the white shoes are.
They are long, aren't they? So for the listeners, it's a man in a very grey suit of quite a loose fit.
Quite a shapeless jacket.
Yes. And the only thing that's missing here, I mean, it's a minor detail, but I'd like it if the tail of the jacket was very rumpled, because he's one of those people who doesn't always take his jacket off when driving.
That's
the
right.
The shoes are very long and very white.
They were turning up a little bit at the end as well.
Yeah, they will do. It's impossible to keep them down. Just the heat would have been... We'll put that picture on the page here.
It was...
That's amazing. The guy... So we're sitting here in this Haggerty Clubhouse, Treehouse, whatever it's called. And there's a few cars parked out on the floor here, including an extraordinary Alpine GTA cabriolet, made, I think, sort of with Renault's blessing, apparently, by a German Renault dealer. They made 5 of them. I think 2 with the wide bodies like this one out here. The reason I bring this up is the guy, Dom, who owns that car, he has an insight.
Yes, he does. He's got incredible car taste. He's got really good car taste.
Yeah. So and then also outside this room, which is giving me really impure thoughts, is a green NSX.
Nusux.
It's green. It's got the later spokier wheels on it, but still the pop-up. So I suppose it's a 3.2, but without the fixed lights. It's got a light leather interior, sort of not quite tan.
Yeah,
kind of beige. It's exquisite.
It's a fantastic, clean example of the mark.
It really is. I was swooning over it. You were pointing out that they're not worth what people are paying for them now, which I think is a fair point. They've gone a bit silly, haven't they?
If it's the car for you and you've got the cash, then don't listen to a complete twunt like me.
But I think we've realised, and we were just talking around it, and we noticed it's got a Smith & Sniff sticker in the back window, so we don't know whose car it is. But if you're listening...
it's mint.
It's mint, and it's now ours because it's got our name on it. So,
but we did have an idea because I said, "Does it have inside?"
Oh yeah,
a pair. Does it have inside? Because any NSX owner listening will know what I'm talking about. Does it have driving slip-ons? Senna spec slip-ons inside, because every time I see it,
the 4 S's, time 3 S's, I know. They're so Senna spec slip-on.
Every single time I see an NSX now, all I think about is sort of Portuguese holiday shoes. Algarve.
Algarve. Yachty Algarve shoes.
And the fact that he drove that car like Ayrton did drive cars, but wearing shoes that I don't think I'd be able to even drive a car with those shoes.
They're not grippy, are they?
No, they'd be very hard. That kind of rubber that, like American 80,000 mile tyres kind of rubber, which is not real rubber, it's almost like Bakelite.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. No, I know, it boggles the mind, but then we did decide that perhaps you could get around this by gluing slip-ons to each pedal in the car. And I don't know how easy it would be to get the accelerator slip-on off, to get the brake slip-on on in time.
You've got to cut a little trapdoor out the back of each shoe so you can slip in, slip out.
Yeah.
But I think to sort of Araldite the shoes onto the pedal box would just be such a because people who got it would completely understand the reference. Yeah, and when you're at a car show, you go to get in the car and you take your whatever shoes you've got on off. And if you're talking to someone about the car, because it'll have a crowd around it because it's an NSX, you'll take your shoes off and people will be like, "Are you going to drive home in your socks?" No.
Hey, if you were very precious about your carpets in your car as well, it'd be a great way of making sure no one wears their shoes when they're driving it. in that way. I was told a story once about Ron Dennis once had a comedy slippers party at his house.
Did he?
Yeah, but the reason was to make everyone take their shoes off and put slippers on so his carpet didn't get fucked up.
Is that true?
Yeah. Well, I was told that by somebody who should know these things. I don't know. If
That's a great story.
I hope it's true. If it's not, then I was misled. But
Ronald
it sounds very,
Ronald
very
McDennis.
Ronald McDennis.
Would you like to have a party at Ronald McDennis's house? Burgers for
Quantity
everyone.
of happiness meal. People are looking around that NSX going, is that the owner? Someone's going in the boot. Maybe he's getting the slip-ons out.
Oh shit! Do you know what? I've also had
got a
another
good pair of 90s Combats on, that guy.
He's got a sweet pair of 90s Combats on. They're almost all Saints spec.
I think those have just come out of the wash as well and been dry because look, they're still rumply. Remember the way those used to always go rumply?
I used to work with a photographer that I think had about 15 pairs of those.
Yeah. Standard photographer.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Also in this room, or in this building,
in this
exceptional space,
exquisite space.
Yes, is the little car company. I can't want to say TK Maxx. It's not called that, is it? What is it called?
Bollocks!
What is it called? The big one, Max.
It's not the Rough Rider, is it? It's the
no.
I keep wanting to call it the Tamiya Rough Rider, but it's the bums.
What is that called? I knew that. Anyway, that's there. The big Tamiya buggy thing that we had at our live show here.
We're idiots for not remembering what it's called.
I know, and I do know what it's called. I just keep forgetting. Anyway, that's here, and then there's a Singer Porsche 911 Targa.
Is that a Singer? Is it? I hadn't had a chance to go and see.
It is. It looks like one. It's got the central filler on the bonnet, and it's got the very nice parachute interior, but also some quite not very nice wheels on it. Sort of white 5 spokes that don't look right. So I don't know. Maybe it's not a Singer. I can't believe.
Good thing about wheels, you can change them quite easily.
Yeah, they're like slip-ons.
You can have. They are just like slip-ons.
Just slip-ons for your car, except obviously you don't want to just slide on. More like lace-ups for your car.
I think also for NSX owners, not just the driver should have the Algarve spec slip-ons on, but whoever is in the passenger seat,
stitched to the floor, man.
Yeah, you have to do the same.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah, and then it's just a shoe bag, a racing spec shoe bag goes in the boot with your actual shoes in, because you're not going to need those in here. I've thought of that.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
Got Senna spec slip-ons already to go. So
now, Bisto Heritage, where we are,
the
heritage of the gravy. I know I went to the toilet before I started looking around the car show because I'd arrived and the drive had been really dull. Because from my house to here, it's a thankless drive. Really. The toilet was called the Technical Latrine 100.
What? Where?
The little toilet block, the little. What it actually has on the side of it, Technical Latrine 100.
Technical latrine.
Technical.
Is it just a urinal?
No. There were. In fact, it's the opposite. Only cubicles. There were 3 cubicles. There was no urinal.
But it looks like a normal.
It's an absolutely regular toilet, but it has American spec door.
Oh no!
Yeah, so basically you sit
like a miniskirt door.
Yeah, you sit down on the toilet and you might as well chat to your friends and make full eye contact.
Exactly.
I don't know what it is with American toilet doors.
Why are they doing that?
It's not a door.
It's so weird. Like a country that is normally, I think, in many ways, is quite chaste.
Yeah,
and conservative in ways like that, but they basically the top of your head and your bare legs are visible whilst you're having a poo.
All your mates could, at a night out, could just dive under the door and come and dance with you, which is what would have happened.
Yeah,
in fact, the night the Hammond got left on at my house, that would have been one of those nights.
But I think if you. Maybe is it because they want to stop shenanigans? Like so it's very easy to look at what people are doing there.
I think so. But at the same time, if you're, quietly having a quiet time...
Well, that's the thing. It's just, there's no privacy.
No, there's no privacy.
I was discussing this with someone a while ago and just saying, if I came to power, my otherwise quite benevolent regime, I think I would insist that all publicly accessible loos, floor-to-ceiling doors.
Yeah, 100%.
Want a bit of privacy.
100%.
I don't see why you need...
No.
Except... Then there was that time that my boy got trapped in a loo cubicle and I had to go over the top.
Did you?
And release it, yeah. A really stiff catch.
Oh, but he got
quite. Yeah, he was only little, and he got quite panicked by it.
Oh,
so that would have been a disaster. Well, actually, no, because the thing is, I think you have a floor-to-ceiling door, you'd have an external thing you could do, like on airline loos. Imagine if American Airlines like putting those doors in,
like saloon doors in the toilet.
Well, they basically are, aren't they? They're saloon doors.
They are like
maybe
saloon
it's
doors.
a hangover from the Wild West. see you're going for a shit. Yeah,
It just means you're having a stressed poo.
I know.
Nobody wants that. Nobody wants.
People can see that you're reading a copy of Car and Driver because it's completely visible.
Could you just go,
the lower edge? What? Oh, is that the new issue? What the fuck? Yeah. Americans, sort your
toilet doors out. I met a very pleasant American this week and recorded an idle chat with him. Really sweet guy.
Yes. Tavares.
Yeah.
Tavares.
No, yeah. Tavares is a disco band. He's going to be. He's going to be on the Late Break show soon, and we ended up spending a couple of days together. I ended up taking him on a barn find because he really wanted to.
Seriously?
Yes, seriously. And we fully delved into
what,
this.
like
fun.
on camera? He just came
on camera. He just said, he just said, what?
Brilliant.
He said, what are you doing tomorrow? And I said, I've actually got a barn fund booked. And he went, is it nearby? I went, yes, about an hour and 20 from here. He goes, do you mind if I tag along? And I went, absolutely not. Honestly, we had a really good day. The family whose car it was were fantastic and hospitable. And afterwards, we took him for a curry.
Oh,
it was just sweet day. Sweet day.
Yeah. So he was over here for something, wasn't he?
For Auto Alex Kirsten had
a
a car show on, which was highly successful, and he invited a couple of big YouTubers, like mostly sort of car repair guys, like Matt Armstrong, who buys crash Porsches and hypercars and stuff, and Tavares, who is repairing that P1 McLaren, which I forgot it had delivery mileage on it.
Oh, did it?
And the owner whose garage it floated out of in the hurricane storm.
Did it float away?
It floated down the street with its hazard warning lights on. It was basically in a river, but he pointed out it was seawater, just to make it even worse.
Oh, God.
And B, the owner had owned it 10 days before it got washed out of his own garage.
Shitting heck.
Yeah, he paid $2 million for it.
The first owner had?
The first owner had.
Okay.
Tavares, Freddie, paid $600,000 for it, even in a ruined state.
Jesus.
That's, brave guy.
I haven't seen his latest endeavours, but I've heard it's a struggle to get that thing.
Yeah, no help from McLaren. McLaren want nothing to do with it because they don't want to encourage anyone to repair their own McLaren.
No, I guess not. Well, it's the electronics, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's going to be the bastard who had salt water on that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's very, very ambitious, and he's got he's managed an incredible amount of research, and because there's not enough of them. It's not like if it was one of the other McLarens, like he's done a 675.
Yeah.
They've made many more of those.
Yeah. Does he know anyone with a P1 that he can go and sort of reference things? He does, okay.
Yeah. So, I'm going to say it again. Sweet guy.
Yeah.
A real car fanatic who's also a genuine, kind, interesting human being.
Speaking of having a go in other cars sort of as a reference point.
Yeah.
Did I tell you that when I had the front suspension redone on my Panda and the garage went, they didn't quite say we're going to cobble it back together, but they sort of went, look, just to get things sort of on an even keel, we need to get some new bits. There's a scrap Panda in the yard down the road, we're going to get those. And I was like, wait, it's not 100 horsepower though, is it? And they're like, no, it's not. I was like, right. And I was trying to find out which bits are bespoke to the 100 horsepower, and it sort of seems like not as much as you might think at the front end. And the guy at the garage went, look, let's just put it all back together, see how it is, you take it away, drive it, tell us what's wrong, then we'll sort of work back from there and we'll figure it out. Okay, this has become a project.
Yeah.
And I picked it up and it felt all right. And I was thinking, am I just losing my mind? So I was like, maybe it doesn't turn in as well. And, I'm not sure. There was a 100 horsepower for sale in Bath. So I messaged the owner. Sweet guy. Turns out he listens to this, actually. And he was like...
Well, name check him, Richard.
James is the guy. James is a lovely man. He only lives... It's weird how close he lives to where I live as well. Like, it is almost literally up the road. And... he let me have a go in his 100 horsepower, which he was selling. In fact, someone had already was coming to collect it that day, so he was like, "Go and have a go in it as long as you want." I only need to go sort of down the road a bit and just. And in fact, they both felt very similar, and I was kind of like, "Oh, fine, well, I'm not going to mess with this then." So I've left it as is, and then the fucking.
You didn't put it through a shop doorway and then just walk back to him and go,
sorry, mate. That's broken, mate.
Yeah.
The reason I bring this up is because he lives so close to me that I sometimes run past his house.
Yeah.
Not because I'm frightened, like I'm going for a run. So
you see ghosts and you just run.
And I ran past it the other day, I noticed he's got an Audi A2 on his drive.
Oh.
So I was like, now I can't remember if we've talked about this on the podcast or if this is something we just talked about in real life. That brown A2 in Bath that you covet.
Yes.
By proxy.
Making you put notes on it.
But this is the thing.
What?
I messaged James in a slightly stalky way and went, sir's got an Audi A2 now, and I think he already had it. It's his kind of, he buys cars that he's interested in.
Yeah.
Panda 100 horsepower, Clio 172, stuff like that. He did a Rover 75, then he sold to his dad. So he kind of buys them low, does a lot of work on them himself, has a bit of fun, then sells them on.
Yeah.
The A2, I think, is his between cars car. And so I said I want to ask him about the A2 in case he was selling it, because I thought of you.
Yeah.
And then I said, there's that brown one that parks at the school down the road. He knows the same car. He's already put a note on it.
Oh, bastard.
No dice. No reply.
James, stop it. It's mine. Well, it probably isn't mine. The owner probably doesn't want to sell
it. So I can't remember. Is it at one point? I've told you this and now I've forgotten. 1.4 or 1.6, I forget. It's definitely a petrol. Yeah. I think it's the 5-seat.
Oh, yeah. Well,
pretty sure.
Yeah, I remember you saying it's 5. I think it's the 1.45 seat, which is what I want.
Yes. That's it. I remember the first time I saw it, I kind of... Yeah. My eyes went wide. I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
That's your ideal spec.
It is my ideal spec.
But yeah, it's really funny that another A2 pervert has already clocked this car about town and gone, we're going to leave the old note.
Damn you.
Yeah. So
you've got to do it, though. You've got to put notes on cars. Yeah. Don't be afraid. Be polite.
Yeah.
Now, just changing the subject slightly, on the way here, I have to drive past a circuit that you may know called Silverstone.
Silverstone.
Or Silverstone.
Silverstone.
Are you a stun or a stone?
I don't know now. Hang on.
Silverstone?
I'm going to watch the Grand Prix at Silverstone. Stun? I'm a stun.
It's a stun.
I didn't realise that. I am.
Stun or a stone?
Not a Silverstone, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be taking a guest to the Grand Prix. She's called Sharon Stun. And
unfortunately, someone sold me a massive bag of weed, so I'm absolutely stunned. Yeah, that's... How did I... Oh, yes. Oh, God. I just remembered a story I probably shouldn't tell, but I was asked to write a script for Chris Hemsworth.
What?
Was doing a little bit of a thing around the British Grand Prix. Just like he was promoting a movie,
yeah.
And the people making the Channel 4 F1 coverage had some time with him. They got into this thing where they got movie stars to do little shout outs to racing drivers or whatever when they were on the promo trail. So they got some time. Chris Hemsworth in a white studio just doing, he's sort of doing lots of, hey, the one show, sorry I can't be there, but here's a clip of my new movie kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
So they said, could you do a script for him? And I thought, oh, God, this is really... So I wrote it. I thought, I know he can do that sort of heroic voice. If he does it in a heroic voice, and as if he's Thor. But one of the things was he had to go, this magical land, I believe, is called Silverstone. And that was the whole gag, that he was treating it like a fantasy realm. The incredible fighters, Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, and it was like the whole. And I tried to write it phonetically, so it's like, this is the gag. That message didn't get through, and he just read it straight, and it didn't work at all. He sounded like a muppet.
Oh no!
Yeah, because he was just saying everything properly.
None of the intonation was.
Well, there was just no gag. It was just him speaking. They sent me the clip. I was like, for fuck's sake. Anyway,
well, when you circumnavigate Silverstone. Yeah. There is that bypass has lots of speed cameras on it.
Yes,
for eager race goers who probably gun it a bit in their Boxster. Well, I've never noticed this before, and I've driven past it numerous times. There is a cottage really close to the circuit, like probably the back garden overlooks it.
Yeah.
Do you know what it's called?
What? Peaceful Cottage?
It's called Brands Hatch Cottage. I am not making this up.
That's so strange.
I will find it on Google Maps if need be. It's called Brands Hatch Cottage, and it basically must look over the circuit. I think someone is a Silverstone hater.
Yeah.
And they've gone, do you know what? Screw you, Silverstone. I've moved here and I'm going to change the name of my house.
Fucking Brands Hatch. Your hated rival. And Silverstone, what?
And maybe he used to live in Kent and he's had to relocate for work or something.
It's so odd because it smells of spite.
What's the story? What is the story?
Unless they bought the cottage and then they're going to very, very quietly start building a racetrack. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then suddenly it's as big as Silverstone. The guy's called Brands Hatch, so fuck you. It's just like it's the Trojan horse cottage.
Or is it Is it gonna do a model village thing where it's a model racetrack of Brands Hatch?
Yeah.
But it ends up being popular and open to the public, and then he gets brown signs for it.
Yes.
And then there's brown signs for Brands Hatch next to Silverstone, and it just causes chaos.
Wrecks people's heads.
The racing community don't know what to do.
That is genuinely quite strange, though.
Well, that's why I had to write it down, because on the way here I thought, I've got to ask Richard about this. What's going on?
You drove past Heathrow Airport and there's a little cottage called Gatwick Cottage. Why?
There's something odd. There's something odd going on.
That is very odd.
I don't understand. It's almost odd as the Gibbons flush method on the Volvo gearbox.
Now, speaking of Volvos,
okay.
I'm going to remember to do this. I remember to ring the Volvo PR man about ex-police cars.
Yes.
For listeners who haven't yet heard, maybe, when was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
A story broke, Volvo aren't going to sell estates or saloons in the UK anymore, except to the police.
Yeah.
And then we kind of realised that those cars will be released like 3 or 4 years after they're in service. And then you may be able to buy one. But I was curious, it's like, still be able to get the parts and all this, anything that's specific to those things.
Yeah.
So, well, first of all, interesting, it's not just the police. It's, they say, primarily blue light customers, but that includes ambulances as well, sort of this...
response car,
cars, yeah. But also some Amberite cars.
What's Amberite?
That's a good question, actually. I don't know.
Is that like a motorway maintenance guy?
Oh, maybe.
Like the foreman on overseeing the bypass reconstruction.
Well, that's really like emergency services. Is it just...
That's not an emergency, no.
What does Amber mean? Well, hang on. But maybe there are those sort of like paramedic cars where they're not allowed to drive fast. Are there?
We need to know what Amberite
is,
because otherwise, through our respective businesses, I could order an estate Volvo and say, "I'm an Amberite guy.
Exactly.
I'm an Amberite business."
Whenever I do a barn find, I put an Amberite on just so people can see that.
Yeah, it's really dim and polite, and I put these magnetic signs on the door that says "Barn Find Hunter."
So there is no limit on what they're calling the disposal options. So those cars will just get punted through auctions by the police. That Volvo don't dictate anything like that.
Brilliant.
The only thing is they'll be just returned to, sort of civvy condition for resale. But the authority spec, as they call it, the important parts like the sort of higher spec brakes, the higher spec engine relative to the trim, you can't buy as a punter. All that is done at the factory. And so the VIN will tell a dealer that it's ex-police, which just means if they're fixing the brakes, they'll know to order the right parts. So it's like, although it seems to be a low-spec car, it should have like the bigger rotors on it, or whatever that will be.
Yeah.
But there's total backup on it.
Well, Quentin Wilson's already rubbing his hands furiously together, almost causing a flame to ignite.
Now, somebody, I think this was, I can't remember who said this. Was it someone on Twitter or somebody emailed us? And pointed out something I thought was quite interesting, is that if they're using Volvos as plain clothes police cars, as a car nerd, in the future, if you see a dark blue S90...
Yeah. You'll go, look, it's a detective.
It's a detective, because it can't be a normal person because they're not allowed to buy those. So it's a bit of a...
Yeah.
It's like the way that undercover cops in the US are using Crown Vics. It's like, we know what you're doing. Yeah, because no one buys a Crown Vic except the police. And cabs. Yeah. Maybe some local authorities, I don't know. But yeah, it's a bit of a giveaway.
That's brilliant. I do want to buy in 5 years' time
now
an ex-authoritarian estate car.
Well, you remember we had that message last week from a listener who said, do not buy, and he was a police.
Yes, he was.
He said, do not buy an ex-police car because they get absolutely wanked senseless. Yep. I'm paraphrasing now.
No, I think that's... You're painting a picture there.
I know. I'm just going to say the person's name because I'm not sure.
No, because that's the sort of thing I would do.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to the end and then I'll decide if there's a thing. Because I'm scanning this, I should have.
Scanning.
Anyway, this listener says that the way forward is a non-police Volvo. Because
a non-police police.
During COVID, I bought an ex-demonstrator V70 T6. It was built by Volvo UK as the demo to the services. As a result, it was low mileage, fully serviced and not too trashed. But it was fully liveried up when I bought it.
What?
Although it was removed straight away. The only downside is that it was used in Midsummer Murders and possibly driven by political buffoon Lawrence Fox.
Really?
Yeah. But in fact, I beg pardon. Right, there's nothing that says I can't say his name. So Jonathan Fallowell is the listener. It was Jonathan who pointed out. He says one thing that sprung to mind when he first mentioned that Volvo wouldn't be importing estate and saloon cars apart from for the police means that if the knowledgeable motorist were to spot a newly registered Volvo, they'll immediately know it's a police car.
Yeah. Well,
There you go.
now all the listeners of this podcast will know.
Yeah, he says even an unmarked car will be spotted by those eagle-eyed drivers. I say this as a lot of people do seem to think I am a police car in my unmarked white V70.
I don't know why he took all of the decals
Well, I
off.
presume he had to. Maybe he just bought it and then he doesn't explain, but I don't think you're allowed to, are you? That
No,
would
you're
be
not allowed
kind
to
of
say the police.
impersonating a police.
You could leave the Battenberg on, though.
I suppose so. It's just a colour scheme.
Very reflective.
Yeah.
There's that one I've actually seen at the Bisto Scramble,
Yeah.
which is it's a fake police car. It's a Mercedes estate, like the oval headlight E-Class.
Okay, yeah.
The rusty one.
Yes.
And it has all of the correct livery on it, but it just says penis backwards on the bonnet and on the boot, and there's penis on the doors.
We've been sent that.
How have you?
Yeah, we've been talking about our new mythical home for mistreated Jaguars.
Yes.
But somebody sent us a mistreated Mercedes.
And it's a penis Mercedes.
I'll never find it now.
It could be the Chody shifter police.
Yeah.
Couldn't it? They are they're on call because they've noticed a really excessively materialed gear shift gator, like a TVR with buried penis syndrome.
All right, I haven't got internet in here, so I don't know.
It actually says Jodie Schechter over your shoulder.
Oh,
yeah, because there's
how spooky! There's a lovely,
sweet
P34,
Tyrrell
yeah.
six-wheeler. I'd love to know how they drive.
Oh,
I'd love to know how they drive.
I mean,
It was my favourite Scalextric car when I was a kid. It was that or the Mighty Metros.
we've had some absolutely spectacular emails, but maybe we'll do an email show next week because I've been saving them. I've been trying to be more organised. We've had some absolutely amazing stories.
We'll do the questions of the people.
But what I wanted to talk to you about is something a little more serious.
Talk to me.
You know that as relatives, parents, whatever, get older, some people like to get involved in what they call like estate planning.
Yes.
For tax reasons, whatever else, where you sort of work out what's going to happen to your house and any valuable possessions you might have. And also, writing a will is a very sensible thing, particularly if you have children, just to figure out who you need to look after.
Mm-hmm.
And it occurred to me the other day, we need to get into estate planning for cars. Because I saw a lovely old lady the other day
Yeah.
with another lovely old lady in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
Often lovely old ladies travel in pairs. And she was driving an immaculate K11 Micro.
Oh, gosh.
And I just thought, well, that's got Spec D written all over it. But has that lovely old lady thought about what's going to happen to that Micro? Because it might just get carelessly discarded. Someone's to trade it in or it'll get scrapped.
They'll call the Scrapman.
Yeah.
And the Scrapman will go, yeah, I'll give you 60 quid for it.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll be like, great.
It's like, but that car, I bet it's garage, so I bet it's not rusty. It looked absolutely tidy AF. Late one, I think. The facelift of the facelift.
Yeah.
But I just thought, we need to be taking care of these. And no one wants to think about the death of a beloved grandparent. But at the same time, do you know where your grandma's car is going? Is going to be my sort of sales.
We need to do an advert. We need to record an advert.
Yes, we do this on very late at night on cable TV.
You imagine, the way those American adverts for wills and things
Yes.
are done. Lots of soft lighting. There's a kid maybe
You're standing against a lot of books.
Oh, it loads.
And
there's a concerned-faced man who
Yes.
puts a document across the table.
Yes. And then but through the window outside, you could just see a Hiab coming down on an absolutely immaculate Yaris, and you're like, no!
You didn't wind the window down and say, excuse me, you've got a wonderful, wonderful car. I know this is a personal question, but how soon will you be dying?
Yeah, any illnesses I should know about? Feeling a bit funny recently? Are you allowed to drive? No, I didn't, because she looked hale and hearty, but very much a sort of a central casting kind of old lady with possibly not blue hair, but that kind of hair. That would have been
Spec
blue.
D.
And I just thought, That's an absolutely classic spec. I did want to. I mean, she was coming towards me, going, so I couldn't stop her.
Yeah,
and it would have been strange. Excuse me, are you planning on carking it soon? Because I love your car, and I know a man who'd have it off your hands.
It's very dark saying that.
It is. That's the thing. People don't like to talk about death planning, and it's where I think a lot of people get tripped up, and families fall out over it. But
they absolutely.
We could take care of one stressful part of that.
Let's record an advert at some point. And we'll see if it has any legs.
We'll sponsor ourselves. We'll be our own podcast sponsor.
We could do that.
Before this episode of Smith & Sniff, have you considered Smith & Sniff estate planning? Not literally, but just car planning.
It's Spec D, a special plan by
special car.
From Mr. Smith and Mr. Sniff Porter. Yes.
It's just like reconstructions with actors. Oh, well. The people in black suits coming back from the funeral. Well, that's Granny buried then. Get the house on the market, but what's in here? Oh, bloody hell. Door goes up. There's a really, really tiny Rover 25.
Yeah. And this will be the thing that troubles me even more. There's a huge, 3 lever arch files of service history.
Yes.
And there's just a bin lid that gets lifted up and it all just gets pushed in. Nobody needs that. And you go, no!
She always ran a hoarder.
The life story of the car gone forever.
Sales invoice from local Nissan dealer. That's going in the bin.
Because honestly, one of the barn finds that I did quite recently of the BMW E9 Coupe, which is a lovely car.
Frilly on the sills, wasn't it? But,
a little frilly. But the owner, him and his wife divorced, and his wife threw away all the service history and the ignition keys.
Shitting heck.
Yeah. But he didn't realise she'd done it. And then he realised the car one door was unlocked, so he had to get new keys cut, which he did. But he said it came with all the history when he bought the car. And of course, you just can't get that back. It's gone now.
Maybe that's the other part of our business, apart from the kind of car-based estate planning, is prenups, but for cars.
Oh.
So just get it set in stone.
Yeah.
No one likes to think about the worst happening, but if it does, let's make sure that paperwork gets put somewhere. Oh, we have like a security
We have a
vault.
library. We have a Spec D library. Do we?
We could do. That's what all the leather-bound books are. In our advert. It's not just like receipts.
Is it like those old video cases where they all look like volumes of encyclopedias in the 80s?
Exactly like that. Yes,
they're all brown with a gold.
Yes, they could be brown. I was thinking dark maroon, but brown is good. Maybe so, or some of that, and then green as well. It's very classy in our office
with a gold pinstripe around everything.
Well, also maybe our work attire could be those very loose suits like that man was wearing.
I'd go as far as to say I would wear an NBA award ceremony suit.
Oh,
in the advert.
I was kicking myself this week. By the way, we mentioned earlier on you're sort of 90s up because you're wearing your Husqvarna jacket.
You love the jacket.
I do love the jacket. And but I bought this specially. I've got a brown T-shirt with the City logo off low spec Metros and Maestros.
Very cool.
And Minis on it. I quite like this because it's a kind of if you know, you know.
Oh, it's so synonymous with my childhood.
Yeah, mine too. But at the same time, if you don't know, it's just a random T-shirt with a logo you've never heard of.
But it's not offensive. It's not.
No, it's not. No. It's not. I bought two actually. A good old Redbubble. With that, do you know when you look at those T-shirts on Redbubble that people make, and it's that same couple they always just put the T-shirts onto, and they look deranged. You've got a lot of weird shit in your wardrobe. But I bought another T-shirt with an Austin Rover logo on it.
Oh,
but City won the day because it's brown.
Yeah.
I know this is a bit more 80s, but it's,
I like the Leyland helmet.
Yes, I looked for one of those, and the only one I found, it wasn't quite right. I can't remember what was wrong. There's something I didn't like about it. It had something else on it or something. I was just like, no.
You need to look at this if you're not familiar. But the British Leyland Racing helmet logo. It was a motorsport.
Leyland Motorsport, yeah.
And it's a really cool logo. And here at RADwood, an absolutely exquisite example of a Rover SD1 Vitesse.
I saw that, yes.
Oh my word!
Yes.
And did you saw it had those decals on the lower front?
Yes,
wheels.
I spotted. I was about to say exactly the same thing.
Like flawless BBS wheels.
Yeah.
And I looked inside. You look inside?
No, I only saw it from afar.
There was a copy of a Playboy magazine, the same year of the car, on the dash.
So was it an 84 car?
I think it was an 84. Yeah. And on the back shelf there was another. In Continental adult pamphlet, and
Continental.
It wasn't British.
Okay,
and It just tickled me because I just thought, yeah, that's it. And then a couple of cars down, a red Lotus. I think it was what's the pretty woman car? Esprit. There was an Esprit with a mobile phone inside it, which took up the whole centre of the car.
like a corded one.
Yeah, it was huge.
Nice.
And just behind it, which wasn't a period accessory, I noticed there's like a little cubby behind it. It had 2, 4, 6. It had 80 cigarettes behind it.
Oh my god!
Yeah, Sovereign Blue or Sovereign Super or whatever they call it.
Hell.
Yeah, so someone was chaining the tabs whilst making important calls.
Wow.
In the Esprit.
So this is because I've been doing the Hot Wheels thing. I haven't actually had a chance to go out into the show. Really.
Yeah.
I've only seen things from afar. What else is out there?
Well, I mean, this is the first time in a long time I've gone to a car show just for fun and not for any work commitments whatsoever. I'm just looking through my picture. There was a really immaculate. It wasn't a 4-wheel drive. It was just a Panda 1000.
Mark 1 Panda on what are those wheels?
I don't know
aftermarkets. They look familiar, but they're not Panda wheels.
I think they're Millet. Were they Millet? Or they might be off another Fiat.
You probably find that there's something where it's like, no, they were actually a dealer accessory in the 80s.
Yeah,
because often that's the thing, isn't it? Where it's like that. What did we see when we went to we were doing the Goodwood auction? Oh, it was an Aston, wasn't it? An Aston that had Lamborghini-looking wheels, and they said to us that they were a factory option that no one ordered. That's the picture you sent me, and I didn't zoom in on it. It's the Esprit
with the massive
many tabs
and loads of cigs, loads of cigs. Oh, did you see that?
An RZ, Alpha RZ. Fuck me. That's a rarity. No, the Cabrio was called the RZ.
Oh, it was the RZ.
Can I just zoom? Because there's also, is that an M535 behind it, an E?
Yeah, I saw that come in and I was listening to the busso because I'm now convinced. I knew it was a cool engine, but I'm just more and more convinced it's sort of
the greatest ever.
Yeah, like it's almost better than most Ferrari engines.
They are nice.
It's a hell of an engine.
Yeah.
And then I got chatting to a man with a Saab 900 Turbo.
Oh.
And he was polishing the inner wings under the bonnet.
Louvres. Look at the Louvre on the back window there.
And it has a decal which had a turbo with a wheel. Like, looks like a pie with the pieces of pie taken out.
I think that's the original decal off the first 99 Turbo.
Off the 99 Turbo. Yeah, I think you're right. And it was really, really... it's made me want a Saab even more.
Yeah. I said that I realised that Bath is a Saab town.
Yes.
This was cemented for me the other day when I was picking up my kids from a holiday club, and the man who was one of the other dads there just had a T-shirt with Saab on the front of it.
No way.
Yeah. I was looking around, I was like, where's his Saab? Couldn't see it. I don't know where he parked.
Guy.
Maybe he hadn't parked the Saab, but just wearing a Saab
Maybe it's
T-shirt.
a sore subject because the Saab's been off the road for a while.
Okay, so he just reminds himself that he wants people to know he's got a Saab at times when he can't drive the Saab.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit weird because it's pickup time and it's always chaotic, and you're going, where's your water bottle? Go back in and get it. And have you had a wee? Because we've got to go. So I didn't have time to go, excuse me, sir. I couldn't tell admiring your Saab T-shirt. Let's talk about Saabs for a few minutes. So Saabs. But it was a lovely thing to see. But it confirmed to me that I live in a very Saaby town. Wasabi. Somebody pointed out to me, though, that there's another car you see a lot of in... Oh, what's this?
Right, so my dad pulls up in the Golf.
What the heck is that? An onboard thermometer?
Well,
What's it recording?
It's temperature gauge, but it's one of those ones you put outside your house for, like, gardening purposes.
Oh.
It tells you if there's frost coming.
I see Max, and then...
Yeah.
Why is it in his car?
It's hanging off the... Is it hanging off
column adjuster?
Yeah, off the steering column.
Yeah.
It's massive as well.
Yeah, it's going to bang against your leg, surely.
He's been driving around with it for the last 24 hours.
Why?
Because... So Bob Spec. Because my mum, bless her, had done some fresh baking for me and the children and wanted Dad to bring it up to me when we rendezvoused. Right?
Oh.
And last night Dad packed the car with the bits he needed to bring up. And Mum said, but is it going to be a hot night? Because I don't want to put the bacon in the car. And if it's too hot. And they ended up having like a bit of a disagreement about it and said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put a thermometer in there and I'll periodically check because I think it's going to be colder in the car than it is in the house overnight. And sure enough, it was colder in the car. And then
I love that periodically check as well. It's like, look, we'll bring facts into this debate.
Dad's a fact guy.
I'm not dealing with just conjecture. It's facts or nothing.
And knowing Dad, he probably got about 3 hours sleep because he was like a night watchman going down there.
Getting up at 3 a.m.
Oh, and also about a mile away from off of RADwood getting here, I would just taken my eyes off the road for probably 3 seconds to change the radio station, okay? And then massive thud on the windscreen to the point where I thought I'd hit something, and I thought it'd cracked the windscreen.
Oh.
And I just caught in the rear view mirror this pigeon going down.
Oh.
It'd done that 90-degree flyby. You know when a bird does the 90-degree flyby, and unfortunately we're on the same course.
Get the timing wrong,
And it hit the bonnet first, and its talons. I mean, it is dead, 100%, because I was probably doing 50 miles an hour. It's hit the bonnet, a few scratches up the bonnet, which is a shame because I've recently detailed it, and it's hit the screen and gone straight over.
A friend of mine once saw that happening with 2 swans and a lorry on a motorway.
Oh gosh, I shouldn't laugh.
And it was feathery.
That would have definitely wrecked the screen.
He said it was because the motorway sort of was raised up with some fields low, and so the swans were flying at a reasonable height over the fields. It got caught out by the sudden appearance of a motorway, and they just didn't gain enough height in time, and just got
both of them.
He thinks so, yes.
Oh.
In a way, I hope it's... Do swans mate for life? I can't remember.
Yeah, they do.
I hope it was both in there, because it's horrible if only one of
deceased
them.
spec
Then you've
swan.
just got a sad swan on your hands.
You don't want that.
You don't want that. I don't know why I'm laughing. That's not nice. Swan death.
Bless.
I was going to read another message out, but unfortunately I've got the internet here and I can't access it because it's a Patreon.
Do you want me to make it up?
Yeah, go on.
Well, I...
Do the voice, that's right.
I got my dad to take a photo of me in the car park.
Sweet 2 generations of Prelude.
Prelude, yeah. And I actually had a guy and his...
Is that an Accord next? No, it's not.
That's another Prelude.
It is another Prelude. I thought it was the back door.
That gen.
Yes.
So I found a Prelude Trio.
Prelude. I'm just zooming in to see what's even further back. That looks like a Fiat Tempera there.
It was.
Fucking hell.
It really was.
A spotter's badge for me.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So I found 3 Preludes in the wild.
Yeah.
And my dad was the one that actually pointed them out. He went,
Did he do the voice?
He did. He goes, are they Preludes? Yeah. And I went, they are. They are, Dad. Can I take a picture? And I'll give that to our Patreons.
Did anybody see you doing that picture and shout Prelude across the car park?
Well, funnily enough, about 20 minutes later, a guy who's a Patreon and his son had driven from Cornwall to come to this event. And they said, we love the podcast. But the son was, I reckon he must have been about sort of 16, maybe something like that. He goes... Unfortunately, my dad does impressions of Prelude Guy all the time, and it's really irritating. And I felt bad because you could tell in his eyes were just going, "You've ruined it for me now," because Dad does the impressions. And I won't be responsible for that.
No. So what I was going to read out, anyway, somebody who knows their stuff. I think asked not to be named anyway. But said they sort of thought that actually the big Mansell sale we were talking about last week. Funny, we were saying about estate planning. He thought maybe it's an estate planning thing, as in like don't land your kids with a load of inheritance tax.
Oh,
but if you think about it, technically, I suppose Nigel Mansell's lads would inherit all of this extremely valuable merchandise.
Absolutely.
That maybe...
Well, so you're better off flogging it while he's alive?
Then it's cash money, isn't it? I think you can just take the cash money. I don't know.
Yeah, and he's probably been tax savvy as Mansell.
You'd think so. Well, he used to live on the Isle of Man, which always smells of tax savviness. But yeah,
absolutely.
Forgive me, the listener who sent that in, because they said it was quite detailed. They explained it and how it is an accountancy thing, or it may be.
Yeah.
They're not saying it definitely is, but that may be one explanation. It's just being very prudent and trying to stitch your kids up with a load of extra hassle.
You just reminded me, imagine if the next RADwood, a guy walks round and everyone's going, he looks just like Nigel Mansell. Look at him. He's turned up in a car of a specific era which would suit the Mansell. He just looks like Nigel Mansell. And it turns out Nigel's just thought, fuck it, I'm going to go to RADwood, wearing all my own gear.
I've kept some of my old stuff. I haven't sold it all.
No, I'm not a
red
fool.
herring. Yeah.
I've still got a Canon jacket, and and he's just walking around with, what was the caps? Were they Dunlop or what were the Bridgestone?
God, it was Canon, I think, when he was there.
Yeah.
Because then Sunseeker was later when he sort of in his retirement.
Yeah.
It was Sunseeker he still had to deal with.
That's right.
And because I think when we had him as a guest on Top Gear, he even wore a Sunseeker cap on the set.
He insisted.
Yeah. I think we might have said, you can't really, it's advertising on the BBC. And he was like, no, I've got to.
Oh, wow.
And it's always, you can't really. It was one of those things where whenever I had racing drivers on, they'd always come branded up.
Yeah.
And it was always a bit like, oh shit, BBC Ed Policy are going to go mad about this because, but what can you do?
You'll have to have that moving blur, which is really difficult to do.
And, that time that they fucked up on the Jonathan Ross show and he didn't wear a poppy just around Armistice Day and they had to digitally put a poppy on him.
Really?
Yeah, imagine how expensive that was, putting a poppy on a moving lapel.
Oh my gosh.
The only racing driver who we were like, racing driver this week, we're going to have that argument again about sponsored clothing. Kimi Räikkönen didn't give a fuck, he just wore a blue shirt because he doesn't care.
Meanwhile, he's just lost £500,000 quid.
Well, no, we didn't even have to ask him not to wear sponsored stuff. He's just kind of like, I'm here for shits and giggles, so I'm just wearing my own clothes. I presume that was his thought process. Who knows with Kimi? But
what's Kimi doing right now? What is he doing right now? He's doing WKD Blues.
He probably is. He's probably sitting in a sauna just having a couple of beers or vodka. Maybe vodka in a sauna.
Yeah, vodka in a sauna. And then when he's had a lot and he's a bit heady, he'll go out on a jet ski.
Yes, because it's still summer, isn't it?
It's still summer. So there's a jetty outside.
Yeah.
And it's just sat there waiting.
And there'll be a light evening, won't it? Till still quite late.
Yeah.
Up in Finland.
Yeah.
So he can get a few vods in him, and then
and to be clear, he only has a buoyancy aid on, nothing else. He comes straight. He comes straight out of the sauna, and his mate just tosses in one of those very thin buoyancy aids.
Yeah.
And he just clicks it on, and the lot is out. There's no.
I'm not even sure he'd do the buoyancy aid. I think he might just
be like, there we go.
I'm just
straight on.
I've got good reactions. I'll just get out there.
And someone's already started it up, so it's sort of nearly working temperature. He just gets on it and just jams the throttle wide open.
Kimi Räikkönen's tackle out jet ski racing.
Oh, everything's windmilling.
Yeah, windmilling like crazy.
Oh, when you get up to VMAX, everything's the skin is flapping.
Well, also, because it's just been a sauna, so you're going to have quite a slack bag for a while, aren't you? Even the chilled late summer air up on the finish. Are they fjords in Finland still?
Yeah,
maybe not.
Just think the front end will look like Clarkson's mouth when he drove the Ariel Atom. That legendary moment.
I think that Kimi's knacker bag might go into sport mode quite quickly when the cold air hits it. He's got an
intercooler going on there. It'll go from tarpaul into sultana in a matter of 30 seconds.
On that tasteful note, we should probably stop this because I'm probably going to get thrown out of here.
No, it's happy hour in a minute at the Haggerty.
I don't know. I mean, apparently this goes on. It's now 6:15. Apparently this goes on till 8:30. But I can't believe that everyone will hang around because people have got homes to go to and all that. So let's wrap this up.
Oh, I need to say one thing.
Yes,
I've been told I'm letting the side down by not saying on that side of things enough.
Oh yeah.
Again, I've not said it for perhaps months. I don't know.
I said it by accident in real life the other day.
No.
Yeah, and I sort of, as I said it, I thought, are any of the people I'm speaking to that I'm aware of listeners to this podcast, and will they think I'm sort of doing it deliberately because it's now a thing and I'm being a knob? But no one reacted, so I just styled it out. But it just sprung up on me. I didn't know I was going to say it. I just said it. I don't know why. I can't remember the context anyway. Yeah. All right. Well, on that side of things,
we need to wrap things up
next week. But before we go, 3 things to tell you. First one is Johnny has a solo YouTube channel. It's called the Investigate Flakes Show, in which he scuffs around used car interiors trying to identify small, thin pieces of white stuff. This week, he's in the back seat of an ex-Mini Cab Laguna in Preston, saying, "Is this old crisps or skin?" If that's not to your taste, there's always the Late Break Show. Some excellent videos on there. I watched your Bath 500e review. I've got our Bath 500e on test at the moment. In many ways, I think you were too kind to it.
I think I was feeling kind.
Yeah, it's an annoying car. I mean, it's good fun when you get it on an open road. I like it is good pep, and its handling is quite decent for a little EV. But
it is good.
Fuck me, there's a lot that's annoying about it. I might come back to this next week when I've had a bit more time to digest, but I can think of at least 6 things that get on my tits.
I think all of the people that have watched the video find it annoying.
Yeah.
There's not that many people that have gone, yeah, that seems okay for 34 grand, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
And we're in a very interesting world, and I didn't really touch on it much in the vid, and if we're going to be a bit sensible for a second, the residual values right now of EVs have come down a lot.
Yeah.
And when you think you could buy a 3, 4, 5,000 mile Honda E, Mini E for like 17 grand, 18 grand, that is a lot less than 35 grand.
I think there may be some 500Es, not Abarths, but Fiat 500Es coming down the pipe of those kind of savings, because they have pre-registered, I think, some to get the numbers up.
And ultimately,
the trade.
Grapevine. I would own a 500E more than an Abarth.
Yeah, but I think some of the irritations are sort of built into the car rather than the sort of spec. I don't know. I'll come back to this, because I like a lot about it. I like the way it looks, I like the size of it, but there's some things that get right on my wick. Anyway, that's one for another time. Second thing I've got to tell you is we have merchandise. Johnny's wearing some of it now.
I am.
Not. Sadly not Husqvarna panties, jackets, but we have T-shirts, we have mugs, we have stickers. There's a song at the end of this that will tell you about that, just to remind you, please go and buy them. The third thing I've got to tell you is that Wannabe by the Spice Girls was recorded in about an hour.
Well, it shows. I think it's a fucking shit song.
Do you?
I hate it. I fucking hate it.
Really?
I'm sorry.
I know it's a lot of spirit.
I love the fact that it's girl power. That's not what I'm fighting against here. I remember when it came out, and I thought it was a living, breathing joke. And to this day, I think it's shit.
I think a lot of great modern pop groups, their first song has to be something a bit spiky and unusual, and that's how they become successful. Because that didn't sound like any other song at the time.
No.
Remember Sound of the Underground, Girls Aloud?
Yeah.
It was just, what the hell's going on here? It's like, it was really unusual at the time.
That's
true.
And
there's another band where I sort of thought they just came out swinging with something that didn't sound like anyone else was doing, and that kind of was a really good way to get noticed.
The only thing you need to do is to go on the internet and look up Boyzone performing live on Irish television for the first time.
Oh, is that good? I don't think I've seen that one. Have I? Maybe you sent it to me, I'm not sure.
If you watch it and don't laugh, you're made of stone.
And this isn't one of those ones where they've redubbed it with no music, so it's all feet squeaking.
This is real. This is real. I tell you what, I'll put the link for patrons.
Yes.
I've got to say, if you don't laugh, you're dead.
Okay.
You're Spec D behind the eyes. Honestly.
Come and see our company. We'll plan for that. Well, that's. Have I done the three things? I have done the three things. So that's it. That's the end. It's done. We're done.
It's totally the end. This is it.
Well, thank you ever so much for listening. If any of you have been at RADwood today, hope you had a good time, and we will do this all again next week. But until then, goodbye.
Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.
Mugs, T-shirts, stickers. Mugs, T-shirts, stickers. Mugs, T-shirts, stickers. We might do hats soon, we haven't decided. This may come as a surprise, but Smith and Sniff have merchandise. You won't believe your eyes. Smith and Sniff have merchandise. Sadly, we don't do pies, but Smith and Sniff have merchandise. One day we might sell ties. Smith and Sniff have merchandise.
Haggerty
at the Red. Mr. Heritage.
Mr. Heritage.
Mr. Heritage. That's where that mullet guy gets.
That's what it is. He went, I thought this was about like interesting hair from the 80s.
I've been horribly missold.